Hey everyone, Kaiser Soze here. I've got a video today where we're going to talk about funnels, making a funnel. The last couple of wars, and certainly since the update, it seems that we've lost the ability to understand and create a good solid funnel. So I'm going to just start with the basics. We've also got a lot of new members, low members, so this is going to be hopefully helpful for them to understand things as well. We are currently at war with a level 9 clan called Whatever. We have an advantage with Captain as a Town Hall 10 up top, but they have the advantage, a huge advantage down low, where the bottom of our clan is filled with Town Hall 6s, and they're not going to be able to do anything up against their 7 and 8. So it really takes away probably 8 or 9 attacks and leaves us with no real options. And then mistakes that happen, like not creating a funnel, is important. So I'm not going to be showing all of the attacks for the most part. I'm just going to be showing a couple key things, a little bit about poison and how it's changed naturally with troops running out of the poison, and what potentially we can do with that, along with just the whole premise about creating a funnel. So the first base here that I'm going to show a bit of the replay on is number 6. So Run has a plan to come in here in this compartment directly into the Archer Queen. So the object there is to take out the trash buildings over in this corner, also to take out as much of the trash over in this top corner as possible as well. And you can simply spread giants or golems naturally to tank, and then some really wide whiz, like on this barracks to start, and working out, knowing that the whiz is going to trail in to some extent, and then hopefully they will also trail to these defenses if they're distracted by the golems. Over here you've got the Barb King to deal with, but you can literally put a couple of whiz on the builder's hut and the elixir storage after a golem goes in on that archer tower. The biggest thing that you don't want to do when you're creating a funnel is take away the trash buildings that are directly in front of where you want your troops to go. So certain troops just go for the nearest target. Barbarians, archers, P.E.K.K.A.s, that type of thing, wizards. They just go for whatever's closer. They move from one thing to the next. Other troops, like hogs, giants, balloons, they target defenses. So they're going to go to the nearest defenses. So understanding that really helps us be able to focus the troops where we want to go. The plan when it comes to funneling, though, if you want to be able to gain access to this main compartment and then work your way into the base through that Archer Queen, and his goal was to be able to get Valkyries into the core and take out the air defense. It's a simple funnel that you need to make, and you do that by removing the side trash buildings while leaving the ones that are right in front of where you want to go, because troops are always going to go to the next clearest thing. So you have to leave this trail of breadcrumbs for them to get to, and you got to focus on just taking out only the outer trash buildings. You burn away a whole bunch of stuff, and then as you start deploying troops, they're going to go to the trash, and then from the trash they're going to go in the direction that you want. Use some wall breakers, get in. Anytime you use wall breakers, just as an aside, you always want to look out for splash defenses and what their range is. So you just touch something, you can see what the range is. See this wizard tower. So if you're going to put wall breakers as opposed to going in front of the wall, the gold storage, because the wizard tower also has access there. First recommendation is to do it in front of the elixir storage. Once again, for people who don't know, wall breakers never target walls. They target buildings behind walls. So if you put your wall breakers somewhere in between the laboratory and the elixir collector, it's going to target not the wall, it's going to target the next building behind the wall, elixir storage. If you take away that building, the next closest building is going to be the gold storage. Even if you put your wall breakers in the same spot, they're not going to go to the wall, they're going to go over to the gold storage and break the wall to try to get to that gold storage. So here you have a mortar and a wizard tower. The recommendation is to distract this wizard tower and the mortar by putting a golem over on that cannon first. That means just this mortar and the wizard tower are going to be directed and start firing over in that direction, and it leaves your wall breakers free for when you want to put them in onto that elixir storage. So, all right, so we're just going to watch some of the replay, just a few seconds, get a sense here of what Run did, and we'll find out. So step one, on the opposite side, he uses a hog to be able to pop and drag that clan castle so he can deal with it when he wants and not have to simply wait until he hits the core, because drags and loons will wreck Valkyries. Naturally, they do not shoot anything that's in the air. So here the problem is, right off the bat, he is now dragging the clan castle over to where the laboratory is. And the laboratory, he's got an archer on it, damaging the building that he doesn't want to damage. Much better off putting it on an outside barracks or something else, knowing that he can then fight the drag, put in some whiz, and clear trash at the same time while leaving those 3 buildings in order to guide his Valkyries into the core and into the center of the base. So now he's got a golem going in. It's going to target the nearest defense, which is the archer tower over on the side. Poison goes down. You can see the wizards now fighting that drag, though, have taken out the trash buildings. And if we pause again, he's also put whiz to clear out the rest of the trash. So unless the wall is completely open, the nearest buildings for most things are going to be the trash that remains on the outside. So now the Wiz are still fighting off the drag and the loons that are in the poison. A couple of wall breakers go down here. They're targeting the elixir storage, and they are able to get in. The queen, however, and this is key, takes out that elixir storage. Because the elixir storage is dead, where are the Valkyries going? They're going to the nearest buildings. This trash isn't clear. There isn't any breadcrumbs to be able to keep them in front of the gold storage or other buildings, because that's all been wiped out. And the Valkyries begin to stray. So he's got a few that have gone into the middle. Most of them, now that he's trying to guide into the core, have gone off to the side. And the reason and the purpose, or the reason for that, is that the funnel wasn't created to force the troops into the middle. You force them into the middle by taking away all the trash buildings, but you want to leave buildings in front of where you want them to go. And you certainly don't want things like your queen not only taking out all of the trash, but taking out things behind the wall as well. All right, so that was example number 1 of a problem potentially with being able to deal with a funnel. So number 2, we've got Auntie's attack here on their number 10. So 1, she's trying to draw the clan castle on this one, puts in a hog. She may have thought that it was going to target the mortar, but it's too deep. She changes, puts it to the archer tower on the other side, which does draw the clan castle. And now here she puts a poison, and the poison will do nothing because now troops leave the poison if they're not engaged. So poisoning troops, when you're not engaging them with other troops, they will flee and run out. As you can see, as soon as the troops are put in, they will run back through the poison or whatever. They don't care where they're running. So now we can see Auntie is planning on attacking on this side of the base towards where that archer queen is. And as far as trash, if she wants to be able to direct and control, you want to be able to have a couple of whiz start out just on the outside. Also, a couple of whiz maybe on the outside. If she's wanting her troops to enter where this is, all she has to do is clear out a small path. You can see these 3 wizards at the top are completely straying off. Instead of just wasting a couple and sacrificing, there's more wizards there that were placed than what was needed. And now she's got the rest of the whiz that end up still being directed inside. These 2 rolling on the outside aren't necessarily a bad thing. The problem is that there was no funnel that was created. That was just a mass wall of wizards put behind where she planned on going, and everything was taken out evenly. You always want to leave a couple of trash buildings in front of where your perceived entry point is to be able to direct your troops that aren't going to target defenses, like your heroes, like your wizards, like P.E.K.K.A.s, to the trash. And then from the trash, they will then just start entering the base. You want to make sure you have a couple of wizards on the outside, like this, that's going around, but intentionally placed there first to clear out some of those trash buildings so that the rest of the troops simply have nowhere else to go. All right, so we've got Dax on 7 here. So this is going to be a go-ho attack, and on this go-ho, he's going to be attacking the queen, fresh hit, so he doesn't know if there's any bombs. You can see immediately here the purpose, literally, this is 5 tiles wide, this army camp, And once it goes down, there's none of the buildings. This archer tower is going to be out of range and focused on the golem, and certainly out of the range of the cannon. He can place one whiz on that army camp, and there's the funnel. On the opposite side, he could place, the spell factories are 4 tiles, and the army camps are 5. So he can literally just place 2 whiz on there, knowing that all the trash is taken care of on the outside, burned out. So nothing's going to jump from that elixir drill all the way over to that barracks. It's much more likely it's going to go from that dark elixir drill to the inside, which is what he wants. So if we just let it go, you can see now, instead of having the army camps cleared and then a funnel created with breadcrumbs to lead the troops in, the opposite has happened. All of the trash is gone in the middle, and now look at how many whiz here take off and start heading over towards that army camp. That ends up being the difficulty and the issue when it comes to not being able to make a proper funnel to be able to guide and direct the troops to be able to go exactly where it is that you want. Again, the opposite can take place. Leave it for a second. Once you have something tanking, burn off a couple outside trash buildings. They don't have to be really far away. Bigger ones, though, like army camps, are great because nothing's going to span such a huge gap to be able to go outside. And you can literally do that with just a whiz or two. And then the other whiz can be deployed behind the golems while the golems tank. So this way they're not going to be taking any fire, and the whiz can just clean out those other items as needed. All right. Next up here is going to be Trey, and this attack, if we just pause for a second. So a scout can tell you to be able to attack from any point. Generally speaking, this is a Town Hall 9 versus a Town Hall 8, so it should be a slam dunk, but the basic premise here, back to basics, you're looking for things that can do the most damage to your troops. So generally at a Town Hall 8, you're really going to be concerned with point defenses on Go Wipe and the Barbarian King. So because there's several point defenses and many defenses here, a couple of splash defenses with the Mortars and Whiz Tower, but you can see there's also 3 cannons, 2 Archer Towers, and the Barb King on that. Probably better to be able to go in that side. At the same time, you can see up here, look at those army camps. You take away the 2 army camps with just a couple of whiz after you put down the golems in the middle, and you leave this gold storage. And the gold storage becomes the feeder. As you can judge where the mortars can fire, distract them for a second, and then be able to put wall breakers on some other building behind the wall that the mortar isn't going to take out, and neither is the point defense is going to be shooting at, to be able to break your troops in. But you want to leave that gold storage because that could be the entry point for all the rest of the troops that you have, and they're not going to go around the corners because you've taken out the trash buildings on the side. So Trey's attack here comes in. Let's see. Well, the first golem goes down at 6 o'clock. He's got the other 2 in. And now here you can see that he's got whiz evenly across all of the buildings all the way through. So the 2 builders' huts there can act as trash. The problem is, because the clan castle hasn't been drawn necessarily, it's just been attracted and popped by the first golem, he doesn't have enough whiz. He's only got 2 down here behind this golem to be able to take it out cleanly and quickly. And that's just not enough whiz. The whiz take a few hits before there's the loon that's going down. Now they've jumped up. And you can see here, a heal's been placed. It's keeping that wizard up, so the wizard is able to take out that drag. But now the whiz come in, and getting in some earlier whiz and intentionally luring the clan castle so you know where it is, and hopefully being away from those. You can see where the giant bombs were. He triggered one with the first golem that went off, and being able to put another to be able to, anytime you see spaces, you want to be able to fill those spaces first with a golem as opposed to the whiz to be able to help create those funnels for you for sure. All right, the next one that I've got So the golems are coming in. This is at a corner as well. Corners generally are not the best, because what ends up happening so often is that your golems split and get distracted and simply don't work for being in front of your troops and tanking, because they'll take off in one direction. So you can see again, he hasn't left trash in. He's put wall breakers. The golems have gone north, while his P.E.K.K.A. and Barbarian King have headed south. And this even clearance of trash is partly to blame as far as where everything else gets directed. In order to save the king and the P.E.K.K.A. from going south, that's a lack of, number one, wall breaker control. To understand, if you put in too many wall breakers, they're going to just open up a ton of walls and things will go in different directions. Naturally, golems are working towards the nearest defense, so they're headed toward that archer tower. When they've made that jump, the P.E.K.K.A. and Barbarian King, they're just going to the nearest building, which is the gold mine. And you want to have some control of when those buildings are cleared to make sure that all of your troops are directed towards the inside of the base, at least together. You can see the golems going back and forth here a little bit. So the golems have gone up, and now things start to follow a little bit better. But it's taken not only a little while for that to happen, but also some luck for that to happen as well. So this last one here that I've got to show from this war is Batman's attack on 20. So he starts, I guess he didn't check the range of that mortar. He puts an archer and kills it. And we can see golems go in, P.E.K.K.A.'s immediately afterwards. And you can see now all of the whiz. And what's happened is all of the breadcrumbs that all of those troops would actually follow to get into the core have been taken out. And you can see as his troop selection as well, no wall breakers. So because there's no wall breakers, that means that these internal buildings behind the compartment walls are not the next ones that are targeted. And what happens? Just a mass exodus around it. So you can see the golems here, they're still trying to get in because the mortar is there. But watch what happens when these whiz take out the mortar. Now they're not even trying to get in. They're not going to break the wall. There's no other troops to deploy. No troops have been held back to be able to help with cleanup or to worry about, well, if something went wrong, how can we adjust? And because of that, now it's just all the way around both sides. You'd never want your P.E.K.K.A.s intentionally tanking when you have two max health golems sitting there pounding a wall trying to get to an air defense. So, and on here, no control of when that was taken. Where's the poison? A bunch of whiz are taking a huge amount of damage. And not only are they taking this tremendous amount of damage while this happens, they're leaving the P.E.K.K.A. alone as well. So some whiz trailing a P.E.K.K.A. can be a powerful combination, but when you separate them, as so often happens, you're just going to be in trouble. So you never want to be able to see that. So I'm going to just show one attack of mine from last war, and this isn't to toot my own horn. I've had tons of wall breaker fails, tons of problems with funnels and troops not going where they should go, but at least last war, I did have one attack that it worked. So because of that, I can't do the replays from here. Because of that, we might as well show it. So here I've got to draw the clan castle. So the first thing is, this is how to draw a clan castle, and you can literally kill the clan castle with 11 archers. 11 archers is less than, you can see, just I'm going to pause here. You can see I've dropped one archer and I have 10. So an archer goes out, pops the clan castle. In some bases, naturally, it's much, this is a joke in terms of how easy it is. This clan castle was in a horrible spot. But if it's behind a base and you can get it with a hog, that's great. If it's lurable, you can simply kill whatever's in there, with the exception of a lava or a golem or a P.E.K.K.A. by using poison and a couple of archers. So all I want to do here, this was a fresh hit. I didn't know if it was a lava, so I know it's not a lava. Now all I want to do is trickle in archers. I don't want to put the archers exactly beside each other. I want to space them out just a little bit, but I want to keep on trickling them in to make that drag just kind of go left, right, and stay in the poison. Now at the end here, I didn't know if I needed one, but for the sake of getting on with the attack, I thought that's it. I'm just going to drop that last poison. 11 archers slowly trickled in. It killed everything that was in the clan castle, and my troop cost is less than 3 wizards to be able to take it out. So now I'm going to start my attack, and because I've got Valkyries, I want to make sure that there's those breadcrumbs that we were talking about. So I know that there's an Archer Queen. I want to start on the Archer Queen side, not because it's more important to get the Archer Queen, but that's where the mortar is. And I want this mortar to fire north because my eventual goal is to break in south. The mortar can do a lot more damage because it does splash damage to wall breakers than these point defenses. So I want my first golem going in at the north to distract the mortar to keep my wall breakers safe when I want to be able to put them in. So once the golem, I waited until the queen was in front of her platform to put the golem in, knowing that she was just going to start shooting the golem, which gives Freya access for my whiz to be able to easily kill the archer queen. At the same time, they begin working on trash up on the left-hand side. Down here, I've got my golem going in down below, and that's the max golem because that's my entry point, so that's I want to keep the stronger one for where I'm going to enter. And now I don't put the wizards on this trash because this is going to be guiding. Oh, there's a warning. This is going to be guiding my Valkyries in. So I use wall breakers, get the golem in, and if we pause now, I've got a bunch of trash taken out on the side. On the opposite side, a bunch of trash taken out. Breadcrumbs. Those breadcrumbs, plus now these buildings, are going to guide my Valks to be able to get them into the middle. I know exactly where those Valkyries are going to go. There is no option for them to stray. They can't go anywhere else. I know exactly what's going to happen. And now again, because it's a fresh hit, I don't know what's going to happen after this, but at least I get the Valkyries into the core, which is where I wanted them. And then I can begin to deal with the heals and the jumps and everything else that I have to do to be able to sustain the attack and move on. But the big key there is just getting the funnel going and making sure that you leave breadcrumbs at the point of entry for whatever it is that you want to enter. And you take away those buildings that could distract all your troops before you put the ones on the inside. And there's a lot of, you could do this with dragons for sure, to be able to burn off edges and corners and quarter buildings and all that other stuff to be able to give you a little bit of leeway to be able to get those other drags in the middle. But the same holds true at almost every single town hall level. Funneling is a real key aspect to be able to make sure that your attacks can be successful. All right, that's it. Kaiser Soze Maximum Carnage, more to follow.